Join me on the OKTV Today YouTube channel. In this episode have recapped every episode of Tulsa King Season 1, and I have so much more on the cast and ranked every episode.
Get me out!
So, let's jump into action.
Prison in northern Pennsylvania, and to keep what's left of my brain. I remember when I was set to be a successful gangster. The answer is no. Keeping my mouth shut for all
The crime drama's premiere episode was co-written by Terrence Winter of Boardwalk Empire and Taylor Sheridan of Yellowstone, two of the most well-known television writers of the past 15 years. Sylvester Stallone leads the Tulsa King cast. The show centers on Dwight Manfredi, Stallone, a New York mafia leader who recently received his parole after 25 years in a federal prison in northern Pennsylvania. He claims in the introductory narration that he read great literature, wrote bad poetry, and tried to avoid a second shivving during this period. Since he was jailed for annihilating a buddy in order to safeguard the family's leader, Pete Invernizzi, A.C. Peterson, and his son, Charles Domenic Lombardozzi, Manfredi anticipates returning to his life of violent crime in New York City almost immediately.
My wife, Marie, honored it. I kept my mouth shut for...
Hey! You don't understand diapers.
Following a trip inside a fully revitalized Manhattan, a perplexed Manfredi is brought to the opulent Long Island home of the Invernizzi family, where he finds out that Charles is now handling the family company. It's evident that time has passed and that Manfredi has hardly anything left in New York thanks to Charles and his goon Vincent Piazza. Manfredi is naturally furious since he has managed to keep his lips silent and given up a quarter of a century of his life, along with the bond with his wife and children, for the Invernizzis. Even though he's surrounded by 6 Invernizzi criminals, he doesn't hesitate to express his rage and knocks Vince out with a single blow. Charles maintains that he's providing Manfredi a fantastic opportunity rather than totally rejecting him. In order to set up illegal operations in Tulsa, Oklahoma, he is sending him there. Things is not how Manfredi sees things. He feels as though he is being exiled. Manfredi arrives in Tulsa almost instantly. We can see the manner in which he is out of place shortly after he landed, particularly how a huge hopper quickly frightens him. A woman yells an obscenity and then comes up to him. Because she is a religious zealot and was repulsed by Manfredi's profanity, she douses him with holy water instead of giving him advice. However, Manfredi soon begins to meet others. Manfredi recruits Tyson, Jay Will as his own chauffeur driver when he jumps into his taxi. Manfredi forces Tyson into dropping him off near a weed distillery business he spots on the route to his hotel. Manfredi sees a chance to make some cash and glides inside. Upon observing that there are no CCTV cameras or security, he effortlessly knocks up the one bodyguard and frightens the 2 overly laid-back employees before giving the order to talk with Body, Martin Starr, the manager. Despite the fact that the business is completely lawful and is not threatened by any gangs, Manfredi insists on payment for guarding it. However, Body has no say in the matter, and he and Manfredi become business associates in an instant. We watch as Manfredi gets used to daily life in Tulsa throughout the course of the next scenes.
Can I help you, mister? You can call an Uber.
Oh yeah, what's the... Miss McNamara, call me an Uber. Well, I assume you don't have Keanu.
The goddamn mooch.
Hey, right to eat here?
So where's home, friend?
Is there boots you're wearing?
Both like dinosaurs.
There you go. That's not a Lincoln Navigator.
When was he called me a crack dealer, threatened to call the police?
Morning. How can I help you?
My associate was in earlier trying... The truth is, he's a good kid. You say, hey, he's gotta be a drug... He's afraid of the wrong thing.
After establishing Mitch's Garrett Headland pub as his new hangout, he talks to the proprietor, who discloses that he was once a bull rider but had to give it up because of his addiction. Tyson is entrusted with purchasing a new vehicle to transport them about in the interim. However, Manfredi severely beats the racist vehicle merchants after he won't sell Tyson the car because he wanted to pay cash. Naturally, he furthermore makes sure to purchase the vehicle at a reduced price. The 2 persons who appear likely to thwart Manfredi's illegal actions in Tulsa are also briefly shown to us. Our man Truacy, Max Casella, makes careful to stay away from Manfredi after noticing him at a shopping center. A visibly anxious Armand phones a buddy at the conclusion of the show to confirm if Manfredi is really in the neighborhood. Although we don't yet know why Trucy is so worried, you can bet that Manfredi won't be happy to see Trucy either. Andrea Savage's character, Stacy Beale, comes next. She approaches Manfredi at the bar and very boldly woos him. She finds out after their tryst that Manfredi is 75 years old, which shocks her. She describes the chasm between their ages and leaves quickly. In the final montage, we learn that she is employed by the Tulsa-based Department of Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and that Manfredi has unexpectedly been added to their watch list. In an alternative voiceover narration, Manfredi states that his goal in Tulsa is to earn sufficiently much fortune that the Invenitzis must take him extremely serious and bring him back to New York. This is the last thing he says in the first episode. Although Go West, Old Man isn't very innovative and strongly references earlier crime and gangster movies and television series, it's still a good beginning for Tulsa King. The program has the makings of a mobster comedy drama that is dependably enjoyable, fun and informative, at the bare minimum. However, it is still unclear if all of these elements come together to create something genuinely dramatic, engrossing, and unique, or if it is only another flimsy knockoff like The Black Donnellys or Mob City.
Going on.
White, the janitor. But I'm gonna open.
This is how it's gonna work. You make the white.
They're going to invite you to the
Mafia capo has decided to grace.
At the beginning of Tulsa King Episode 2, Dwight searches a website for information on his daughter, Christina. He doesn't have a debit card number, which is necessary to continue. Dwight appears to be a highly affable and knowledgeable businessman who is more than capable of starting his own Tulsa dynasty. Another aspect of his personality that was shown in Episode 2 was his sorrow over missing out on more time with his beautiful daughter. When he attempts to ship a parcel to New York, the clerk tells him that they do not take cash, therefore he is unsuccessful. Coffee at the coffee shop is 5 times more expensive now than it was in the past, and the barista no longer serves it in glasses. Stacy asks detailed questions concerning Dwight's file. In his file, he is accused of 2 homicides, one on the outside the jail and a second within in self-defense. Despite having the opportunity to flip, he chose to do time instead. Stacy respects his moral character, yet she is advised to exercise caution around Dwight. A lady tells her that he stumbles into the center of the universe while strolling around the metropolis. According to her, those outside the circle are unable to hear anything when someone is standing inside. It appears to work when he tries it. Vince is upset at Chicky for doing nothing to stop Dwight from acting against him.
Deposit some cash and they give
And buzzkill.
Not operating a nuclear reactor.
Morning, Spooky.
Rearranging my internal organ.
Speaking of which, I need to talk to your son.
And will all of this start happening?
Okay, and current address? Okay, I'll just need to see some ID.
According to the organization's laws, in order to honor the chain of command, the person who strikes a capo must be murdered. After soothing him, Chicky looks for a compromise. To obtain a card, Dwight visits a bank. An ID card stands in the way of his efforts to re-establish contact with his daughter. However, he is told by the banker that his ID has expired. He must travel to the Department of Public Service to obtain a new one, where he pays the member of staff to obtain a date before dawn and scams his way through the driving certification. When he learns that Ike, also known as Dwight, is returning to town, Manny interprets this as a sign that he has returned to murder him. Chicky gives Dwight a call and informs him that he needs to give Vince $100,000 in order to settle the conflict.
Okay. Hey.
I just wanted to talk to you.
Sure.
You know, an high-level felon, ex-felon, former mom. What does your family think about you being here?
I haven't seen it's hard for her to see me all locked up.
Decided to move to Tulsa.
I don't expect it.
Although he knows it is the correct thing to do, Dwight violently rejects the offer. Stacy makes the decision to go see Dwight and reveal who she is. Dwight takes it personally and vents about his chaotic personal life. He treats Stacy rudely, who departs the room with composure, and Dwight immediately feels bad about what he did. Rather than working for a mobster, Tyson's father encourages him to get a college education in order to further his profession. Tyson reassures him that he undertakes it to gain knowledge about business, and they have a positive, cordial relationship. Bodie goes to the farm with Dwight and Tyson the Jim the Creek. The first person Dwight encounters upon arriving at the property is his cousin, Bad Face, whom Bodie warns him about. Jimmy jumps in to defuse the situation as Bad Face and Dwight nearly fight. Viewers witness why Dwight was at the highest level of his game during his heyday in the following sequence. And the reason he still possesses it. With significant knowledge into his enormous territory, he bargains with Jimmy to lower the rates for obtaining his raw material. He respects Dwight's intelligence and is aware that Jimmy is upselling them because they are unaware of his other ventures. Dwight smokes pot on the drive home after they shake hands on a transaction. He bemoans the absence of traditionalism in contemporary culture and complains against the current generation and their methods while under its spell. After his card arrives in the mail, Dwight can finally create an account on the website. He obtains Christina's information, but Emery, her husband, answers the phone. She doesn't want to talk to him, he tells Dwight. Dwight requests to hear her voice since he can hear children in the far distance. When Dwight says he desires to see her, she complies but breaks off contact. Heartbroken, he vents his emotions at the center of the cosmos. It was difficult for him to act this way, and he is remorseful for not supporting Christina and ending their relationship. Dwight hoped to reunite with Christina, but he wanted a new life for her. In episode 2, Sheridan attempts to bring back the former elegance of his tale through Dwight. Even though Tulsa King is a drama about crime and the mafia, it nevertheless manages to make its plot seem less serious.
Where to, boss?
Married in 1998.
Upper expires when I swallow this crap.
Daughter.
Tina.
That's him.
Mr. Dumont, I'm giving you...
Seems to me like his position's pretty clear.
For the whole first 2 episodes of Tulsa King, Armand, Max Casella has been hiding in the background. Armand began gathering information on the displaced Oklahoman mafia gangs from New York when he spotted Dwight, Sylvester Stallone in the mall and fled. He was waiting since Armand shoots Dwight with a barrage of gunfire in Caprice, the 3rd episode of Tulsa King. It was especially impolite because Dwight was about to pass his automobile test at the moment. Then, with Armand donning a balaclava, Dwight starts a furious automobile pursuit notwithstanding the numerous complaints of his unfortunate driving instructor Pete.
Rolo. Thanks.
Trigger.
See? The feds raided that dispensary.
Will you take him to Hillcrest? Land, it's a music festival. Why?
How about nitrous oxide? Right. Now let's just say...
Come to the thing of it.
Oh, yeah? But he was still in the thick of that shit.
His family.
Okay, well, I wouldn't do that, dumb. What is?
You think anyone completed a series of tasks? That, drinking beer and getting laid.
I'm Paul Cheevers.
Sadly for Dwight, Armand escapes his objective by speeding away, thus neither Dwight nor the audience are aware of their relationship. Dwight was even more shocked by this abrupt outburst of violence because his connections to Tulsa are just growing. In particular, Stacy, Andrea Savage. After Dwight and Armand get into a car fight, local police officers bring him back to the station so he may be questioned. Since Dwight has practiced for 25 years, it goes without saying that he keeps his lips quiet. When she finally shows in, Stacy exploits her authority to free him. "Who wants you dead?" she asks him bluntly as they head out for a drink. Dwight stays silent one more before directing the inquiries towards her. We find out that before 2009, when she lost her shit and had a breakdown, Stacy's career was flourishing when she was employed in New York. That's precisely how Stacy found herself in Tulsa, where she's presently working to restore her image, just like Dwight. They both recognize at once that they are made of the same fabric. They end up having an affair again, but Stacy insists that this is the last time since their bond is so strong. But Dwight, the audience, and even she are aware that's just untrue. Tyson, Jay Will, meantime, is now totally focused on working with
They
Dwight.
tried to kill me yesterday.
I know.
I'm gonna ask you this one time. Chance of this punk going rogue and I will hear your list of suspects. Get the ski mask.
Okay. Mine to take you out. You're a great... But you're right, though. I mean, otherwise.
That's Keelan Waltrip. Attempted murder. He did 6 years. Premonitions expert. Did 3 tours, 3 guys.
I was thinking maybe you could open it.
I don't know.
I want you to call your buddies down at the D.
What's that, chocolate chip?
The missing windows where your head could by and gets mistaken for me.
He's looking to the horizon because of this. Tyson aspires to make it as a capo, made man and follow in Dwight's nefarious path. Although Dwight recognizes Tyson's potential, he is aware that he is not dangerous enough to follow in his footsteps as a mobster. Furthermore, he loves Tyson too much right now to endanger him or his family. This is particularly true in the wake of the shooting. As an extremely fair compensation gift, Dwight even dismisses Tyson and gives him a pouch full of dollars. But Tyson has no interest. At the age of 25, he is capable of making his own choices. In the opening episode, Dwight assigns and orders Tyson to go buy them a new automobile from the racist salesman. Nor does Dwight want Tyson to foot the bill. Tyson rehearses threats in front of the mirror in his bedroom. When his anxious father learns this, his anxiety just grows. Martin Starr's character Body isn't quite as smitten with Dwight. However, the two are starting to influence one another. Dwight discovers that Body is letting party-goers consume nitrous oxide shots for $5 apiece after visiting a party at the higher plane. When Body tells Dwight that there will be a $10 music festival, his mind starts racing. Dwight goes to the pub owned by Mitch, Garrett Headland. Mitch may get nitrous oxide in quantity without anybody knowing because it's also a restaurant. Dwight explains his strategy to Mitch, stating that they can sell a gas called nitrous oxide at the festival and earn over $100,000. Mitch readily consents to participate. However, it is for a different episode. Dwight finds DMSO, a flammable chemical used to treat horses, and a piece of fabric bearing the initials FR inside Armand's burned-out automobile. Dwight uses Google briefly and finds the Fenario Ranch. Dwight questions its proprietor Margaret, Dana Delaney, while posing as a private investigator. But when Dwight questions if one of her 140 staff members could have attempted to eliminate him, she sees through his falsehoods and tells him to leave her property. However, Dwight doesn't get very far. After parking outside Fenario Ranch, he watches Armand go and stalks him home. In order to exact some brutal retribution, Dwight grabs the revolver from the passenger seat as he sees Armand approach his residence. Dwight is instantly persuaded to change his mind as a toddler runs outside the home and leaps into Armand's arms. Following 25 years in jail, Dwight obviously has evolved and is more reluctant about committing murder. His hesitancy might put him and those close to him in danger because he is a mobster. However, when Dwight eventually meets Armand and Tulsa King and discloses the background of their connection, his newly discovered generosity will be put to the ultimate test.
Motherfucker. You best make a move on.
Ray, a little old and beat up. Thinking about naming him Chance.
Keep me posted.
I got mugged by a guy with a samurai sword.
Investigation.
What are you doing? I'm a private investigator.
We're under 106.
They're more for a hayride.
Yeah, well, got some shit at home to deal with.
After I drop the boys, you want anything?
Close the trunk.
Jesus,
And you're gonna answer me yes or no.
You what? I got no fucking idea.
So who hired you?
Hide me.
Who sent you?
You can't eat it.
Stacy attempts to move on, tensions in the town increase over the sales of nitrous oxide balloons, and Dwight and Armand work out the specifics of the shared misconception in Tulsa King Episode 4. Even though Dwight was first hesitant to approach Armand in his driveway in the morning with a pistol to his back after learning that Armand had children at the conclusion of the previous episode, he ultimately makes the decision. He lowers himself on the floor in his kitchen and leads him inside, pointing a revolver at him. He wants to know whether Chicky ordered him there to murder him. Since he has yet to meet Chicky in more than 20 years, Armand is perplexed and believes that Chicky dispatched Dwight to murder him. Armand then surprises Dwight by telling him that Pete put him in jail because they believed he would lose his mind while serving a 25-year term. He attempted to warn him but was unsuccessful. 19 years ago, Armand fled town because he was afraid they were going to execute him for what he knew. His wife is frightened and unhappy when she gets home at the tail end of their chat, and subsequently, her and Armand fight it out as he ultimately tells her realities about his history that he's been harboring.
This air's booming.
Oh, yeah.
Want to buy something?
Before that, it was about you and me. Because how am I?
Stop, please, Clara. I'm sorry. I, frankly...
How'd it go?
It might give me one of
Oh,
those.
you earned it.
She is upset because, after numerous years of deceit, she is unsure of what to trust. When Dwight stops by Bread 2 Buck, Mitch demonstrates to him that he was successful in getting the nitrous oxide he requested that he secretly order for him from the bar. When Body, Tyson, and the others bring the cylinders to the town's fair and start trading balloons, two men confront them and inquire as to who authorized him to do so. Tyson informs Dwight upon arrival next day that they have sold out of all 10 canisters. Because of the ongoing event, Dwight tells him to visit and ask Mitch for more. Dwight gives in to Tyson's playful request for one of his rings when he gives him money as a bonus for his labor. In another scene, we see that the criminal organizations that Stacy and the ATF have been monitoring appears to believe they have a monopoly on the sale of nitrous oxide, and they are upset that Dwight's squad is interfering with their operations. They then charge at Body, Tyson, and the lads and start whipping them up the following evening of the festival. Both their money and their tanks are taken. They're an indigenous motorcycle gang. Mitch explains when they reassemble at the bar, but Dwight isn't ready to give up yet.
This happened because how you do now, right? You don't even know what you're talking. Is this your security work? Because if my major was too imbecilic. Was I wrong? Mother and I supposed to wait before we see a ass, and that out of my sight.
Maisie's gonna cover for me.
Work your magic behind the bar. We got this.
His friend the couch lately.
Surgical, non-violent.
Okay.
Okay, hey.
Just give me one second, right?
Tell my son what to do.
Chill, Dad. Relax.
No, my son.
It's being taken care of.
And if this is the army you're know the answer to.
Just hit it, Mark.
You're pretty.
Really? Okay, yeah. Well, what is that?
Let them collect our money first. Act.
I'd like to propose something. And you can take him out at the fucking knees, all right?
Gotta grow.
When Tyson's father saw the evidence of the altercation his son had the previous evening, he became quite irate, even if he wasn't impressed with his new pinky ring. He does not wish for him to work for Dwight. While Dwight is out following his most recent business endeavor, Stacy is obviously trying to find better opportunities, particularly after she mentions briefly dating one of her co-workers. At a pub, she meets a man, and they go home together. Sitting opposite from Dwight, Mitch strikes an acoustic guitar and assures him that he has the beverages covered for the evening. He only wants to know when they will return. Dwight, however, doesn't want to see Mitch be caught, so he pushes him to remain back and continue working his magic at the bar even if Mitch wants to assist. Without Mitch, Dwight is able to assemble the most unlikely group of people, which includes Tyson's father, Mark, Armand, and his former foe-turned-buddy, Badface. Even though it's 8 guys against 12, Dwight and the boys prevail after a furious fight with baseball bats. Dwight eventually telephones his sister Joanne after a 25-year radio silence. But when he finds out that his brother has cancer, the talk turns serious. Subsequently from the hospital bed, she FaceTimes him so he may say farewell before he succumbs to illness.
In prison, they sent you.
Just sugar.
Oh, we have a mission to sell.
Each man has gotta grow. I don't know.
Moon, let me. In other words, all I worship.
It's all right. It's good.
Yeah?
It's good.
I don't think she's ready.
Token Joe, Dwight's brother, has died, as the episode's title implies. In Tulsa King's 5th episode, Dwight arrives at the location of his memorial service, which is taking place in New York City. Additionally, we get a peek of the area where he was raised. The first and only person to greet and embrace him is his sister, Joanne. After all these years, Tina is shocked to meet his father, who has been alienated from her, but he ignores her and doesn't interact. Joe and Denise, the former's widow, are honored by Dwight. Dwight apologizes for losing the chance to be a trustworthy family man and for not staying in contact with his family in the past. Dwight enthusiastically inquires about Tina's family during a chat, and he knows them all thanks to Joanne. The fact that his daughter is doing well makes him happy. He plans to take the whole family out to a 4-star restaurant for supper, but it doesn't work out. Again unwilling to interact with him, Tina leaves. The Black McAdams are in charge of the region's nitrous supply and they consider Dwight's men's act seriously. For the purpose of taking care of business, they yell at the cops who work for them. They provide them with his car's license plate number. Unbelieving Tyson is stopped by the authorities, who also confiscate the automobile and place him in jail. The gang's next target is Body. Tyson's phone provides them with his location, and they abduct him.
What? All right, go ahead. The general approaches. Year 4?
Got tissue?
You up by showing up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, I learned the word in the military.
It's a military school.
Right away.
Sir, officer, please, I have to go right now. For real.
What do I owe the pleasure? Let go.
It didn't. You think so? Yes.
Not over the phone.
Tyson, you there?
Sure, that's me.
It's checkout time.
And my phone too, man.
It's really nice hearing my...
Dwight does not go the same day that Chucky calls him to the medical center to meet Pete. Regarding the Black McAdams, Manny is cautioned. He brushes it off at first, but eventually learns about their criminal history. Although it appears that Stacy and Dwight get along well, she cautions him about the Black McAdams. Eventually, Tyson is able to reach him when he considers it. Waltrip, the head of the McAdams, questions Body. Body's life is actually at jeopardy throughout this intense encounter. But when Body is taken to Mitch's pub, Dwight's men get a little relief. However, the police lack authority because it is Cherokee property, so they are compelled to leave Body with Mitch. Tina's floral shop is where Dwight visits before heading see Pete. In a chilly conversation, the daughter addresses her father by his name instead of using the family title. Dwight's absenteeism as a parent is the source of her anguish and unhappiness. She remembers how the whole family helped to make her feel welcome on her prom night, even if Dwight was the only one who wasn't present. As Tina discloses that Nico, a member of the gang and Dwight's old acquaintance, attempted to impose himself physically on her, it also was apparent that was a cry for assistance. It infuriates Dwight, and despite her assurance that he won't respond violently, it doesn't seem probable that he will follow through. When Dwight arrives at the hospital, nobody is there. He approaches a sick Pete and chastises him for failing to look after his family while Dwight was away, even though he had promised to. Throughout the interview, Pete appears perplexed, and when Dwight attempts to scare him about Nico, he remains unresponsive, persuading Dwight of Pete's innocence. In typical gangster form, Dwight enters the club where Chucky and other people are playing and completely destroys Nico, leaving his head on the ground with just his brains. It appears like Sheridan and company are moving the program toward a situation comparable to a gang war between Dwight's legion of rookies and McAdams. The latest occurrence with Nico and the pressure from Pete's group from Vince's side add even more spice. Let's wait and find out.
What is that, a band?
Motorcycle gang.
It's alright.
To you too. Don't you fucking forget.
Nico, the package Biglio.
Job when they fired
The first 5 episodes of Tulsa King, which was created by Taylor Sheridan and Terrence Winter, made it abundantly evident that, despite Dwight's past criminal record, he possesses certain values that make him a man of distinction who honors his commitments and avoids using deceitful tactics like his peers. In the 5th episode of Tulsa King, Dwight had slain Nico Bugliosi, and Chicky wasn't happy about it. The McAdam gang was waiting for the chance to totally destroy Dwight, and the problem with Cal and Waltrip was still unresolved. So, let's see what obstacles Dwight must overcome in the 6th episode of Tulsa King, and whether he succeeds. There was no one who knew that Roxy, a member of the McAdam gang, was an ATF informant. In an attempt to notify Stacy Beale and Doug Hendricks about the illegal weaponry the McAdam gang was in possession of, Roxy wound up informing him about Dwight Manfredi accidentally. Stacy made every effort to interrupt her and prevent her from disclosing any information about Dwight to Doug. It was clear, however, that Doug was intrigued and wanted to learn more. Roxy provided very minimal information, but Doug was able to figure out that the FBI had also told ATF about Dwight a few days prior. Doug made the decision to report Manfredi's presence in Tulsa to the FBI.
Leave a message.
The contacts?
Yeah, of course you is.
Why?
The FBI.
I'm not. This is something for you.
Can't believe you.
This is an olive branch.
You were there for your brother's funeral.
It's okay.
Stand.
You and me both.
I think he'll be fine. Can't hurt to be diplomatic.
In an attempt to talk him out of it, Stacy explained that if the FBI showed there, they may claim credit for all the hard work that ATF had been doing over the previous few months. Doe told the FBI after refusing to play her bluff. Stacy wanted to save the ex-mob capo at any means since she had fallen for him. She proceeded to inform Dwight that he must cease his current activity. A hint of what had happened in New York had reached the FBI and other authorities. Despite Chickie's careful cleanup of the crime site, word had gotten around that a guy called Nico had been brutally murdered. Even after learning about the type of marsh he was in, Dwight showed no signs of retreating and remaining low till the dust had cleared. In the interim, Chickie intended to discipline Dwight in New York. He warned his father, Pete Invernizzi, that Dwight may become their worst enemy if he wasn't subdued. Pete and Dwight had a lengthy history together, and despite their transgressions, they both hailed from a time when people kept their word and never compromised their integrity. Pete was quite clear that he would not harm Tina, Dwight's daughter. He had threatened Chickie with his own father's fury if he ever considered committing such a disgraceful deed. Dwight was irritated when his father instructed him not to behave, and Chickie was eager to discipline him. Dwight had contacted a consigliere named Goody Karangi, a mafia family member who works as a counselor to the boss and settles family conflicts, and the consigliere invited him to Tulsa so they could speak in person. Pete believed it would be wise to take that action and put an end to the problem permanently. Pete understood better than anybody else what type of man Dwight was, despite Chickie's attempts to instill some unfounded suspicions in his father's head. If Dwight was contacting Goody to see him, he knew that he wouldn't hurt him in any manner.
Nothing. Sir.
The fruit came in.
Rethink this nitrous trade.
Serious. Oh, and by the way, what's happening? Okay, that's not the fact that they were interrogated and raided by the...
Christmas came early. You're welcome.
However, Chickie continued to attack Tina's husband, going beyond what his father had instructed him not to do. Tina was terrified that Chickie and his crew would target her family because she was unhappy with her father. On the contrary hand, Dwight classified his acts as legitimate. In the presence of Tina, he acknowledged that he had squandered 25 years of his life and that he had failed to support his family when it counted most. Dwight was a realistic man who understood that he couldn't undo the past, no matter how much he wanted to. In the event she got any potential threats from anyone, he advised Tina to phone him. Agent Oscar Ruiz of the FBI conducted a raid on Body's marijuana shop back in Tulsa. Additionally, they detained Body and questioned him about Dwight Manfredi and the nature of his contact with the former offender. Body informed them that Dwight was his enterprise associate but provided no more background. Body was distraught because he believed that all of the money held in his business would have been confiscated by the FBI. It was a substantial sum of money, and Body was aware that he would have to start again without any funding. The fact that Body was with an individual who was constantly one step ahead of others had slipped his mind. Dwight transferred all of the funds to Mitch's bar since he had expected the FBI to undertake a raid. Up until that point, Body had always felt resentment at Dwight, but after realizing how wise he was, his viewpoint also began to shift. Dwight demonstrated once more that he was not the type of man who would abandon his own people in the middle of a conflict. He eventually had a meeting with Callan Waltrip, but it didn't go as planned for Mitch, Roxy, and other people. Stacy had urged Dwight to assist ATF by setting up a trap for the McAdam gang. This would allow ATF to apprehend the seasoned criminal in the act and pave the way for Dwight to continue his operation without any needless complications. However, as we already stated, the Cosa Nostra had a rationale for referring to each other as men of honor. Even though the offer was very profitable, Dwight declined and informed Stacy that it went against his morals. It was his land, Waltrip informed Dwight, and it was improper for him to take possession of it without first speaking with him. He informed Dwight that he was the only one with the authority to sell nitrous. In order to claim that it was his area, Dwight informed Callan Waltrip that he was not a Native American. Dwight was attempting to accomplish the same thing that Callan had done, which was to build his base in Tulsa after coming from someplace else. He departed the scene once Dwight made it plain that he would not accept his requirements. At the conclusion of the 6th episode of Tulsa King, we witnessed Dwight discussing with Mitch the possibility of forming a partnership with him in order to rebuild his pub. Dwight informs Mitch that because he operated a pub in the 1980s, he has some experience in the restaurant industry. At that moment, Dwight begged Mitch to fetch his gun right away as someone outside began firing. Callan Waltrip dispatched Carson Pike, a loyal member of the McAdam gang, to discipline Dwight. After killing Carson, Dwight and Mitch made the decision to work together to manage the bar. We'll witness Dwight's reaction in the next episodes of Tulsa King when he finds out that Chicky attacked Tina's husband. There was threat all around Dwight Manfredi, from the FBI to Callan Waltrip. It would be fascinating to discover how he handles all of these issues alongside everything else he sees while traveling in danger.
Thought it over.
Some cowboy runs the bar and the black kid drives.
He's fucking done. If you want down, get on the next flight out here.
Boy, Dwight, be interested in sitting down with...
No one said I was a diplomat.
All right, let's get her in there. Was this a one-off?
It still hurts to swallow.
Good news. You take.
Hello?
Where have you been?
Is she with you?
Yeah.
Guy or more than one?
Oh, he doesn't know. Ma, bruised ribs.
Caution, Tina.
Is there something you're not telling? But unless you give me specific
Let's call.
Northern flounder.
At the beginning of Tulsa King Episode 7, Dwight and Mitch throw Pike's remains away. They deliver the Black McAdams his jacket, which is pocked with bullet holes. Pete is recovering in New York. Now that he is at home, the doctor thinks that if he can adequately take proper care of himself, he can live another 15 years. Dwight discovers that the Irish thug has become impatient with him as well. Additionally, he recently learned that ATF has been monitoring him, and it appears that things will likely get out of hand very soon. Chicky doesn't appear pleased to hear that. When Tina eventually manages to reach Dwight, she brings up the incident. She believes Emery has been robbed, but Dwight is aware of this. For her protection, he requests that she travel to Tulsa for a while with her family. She's uncertain about it, though. Goody is picked up at the station by Tyson and Armand. He tells him that Dwight and his encounter were only a coincidence, but the consigliere is shocked and threatened to see Armand again. In 1998, he moved to Tulsa from New York. When one of the bikers opens the package and discovers Pike's jacket, Roxy is devastated. When Boddy and his colleagues return to work, they discover the place in disarray. He also removes a pen drive that is hidden in his safe's latches. Roxy informs Stacy about Pike, and they meet.
Well, I need you to try. Okay. This is the last time, okay? All right, I'll see you tomorrow morning at the...
To rest his vocal cords.
Okay.
All right, forget it.
It's Dwight now. Spencer.
He's got a crew?
Did soon? He's wearing the ring you gave to...
Enough with my fucking
Honestly, Pete, I can't call it.
That much is obvious.
Ask you a question.
Are you drunk?
Answer right now. You know that?
Exactly.
Hello? Hello?
It is disclosed that Roxy is out on a deal with ATF in which she would serve as a tip-off source and avoid going to jail. Desperate for any proof, Stacy urges Roxy to return again to retrieve something. Goody tells Dwight that no one was aware of Nico and that he is also unaware of Emery's abuse. That evening, he gives Pete and Chicky a call. Pete becomes irate and begins to babble when he brings up the fact that Dwight handed Tyson his ring. He even silences Chicky, who once more has no choice but to be silent. Goody says that since Dwight is in his element in Tulsa, he may be beyond their control. Tina is growing more and more irritated as the unknown individual continues to phone her. As requested by Stacy, Roxy enters, but she quickly discovers Waltrip behind her. When she encounters him in the act, she tells him what really happened. Waltrip first gives the impression that he is asking her to be his mistress. However, he uses Roxy's phone to alert Stacy and ends up killing her. Margaret, who owns the horse ranch, asks Dwight out to supper. Body becomes an accomplice in Dwight's venture arrangement, which involves opening a casino. He then admits that he has been stealing from Bitcoin buyers all along. The pen drive contains the Bitcoin information. In his temple, Chicky confesses to the priest that he feels suffocated by him. Chicky was forced to work by Pete, despite his desire to join the army and succeed. He laments that he was never given the chance to live a typical life. He doesn't like it when Tina suggests going to Emery. After causing Tina to suffer for years, Emery tries to console her by telling her that they cannot abandon their lives simply because Dwight demanded him to. She accepts, and the commitment reassures them both. Pete rubs Chicky off inappropriately once more when she finishes showering him. This time, however, he loses self-control and plunges into Pete in the bathtub. Dwight speaks up about his background, and their date goes well. However, the latter finds it more fascinating than disgusting. As the new head of the household, Chicky, who had been sporting a wig the entire time, climbs down the stairs with his father's corpse. He informs Vince that the death was caused by a cardiac arrest and that they need to get the family back on track. When Dwight learns of Pete's passing, he becomes quite reflective and declares he will not attend the burial.
I killed him. Are you being serious?
I hold the fucking track. I was on my way to the train. I got a call. Sorry.
Just thought you should know.
It's a one-off or one of many?
You got the laptop.
The only criminal in Tulsa.
For this fight.
All right, pal. Target in between the sights. Let's go again.
Missing again? Idea of shooting somebody. Appreciate it.
You got your own style? You know what your style is?
What's up, motherfucker? Yeah, what's up?
What are we doing here, man?
Dwight, Sylvester Stallone, must now prepare his own men for the impending conflict with Cal and Waltrip, Richie Costa and the Black McAdam motorcycle gang. Since the Black McAdams have previously shown that they may strike at any time, Dwight and Mitch, Garrett Hedlund decide to arrange shooting drills for the portly security guard Fred, Justin Garcia Pruneda, the overly optimistic Tyson, Jay Wall, and a hesitant body, Martin Starr. They both turn out to be utterly incompetent. Mitch additionally goes even further to refer to them as criminal world's bad news bears. As could be expected, Dwight urges Mitch to enlist some of his old rodeo friends who are now crooks to aid them in their battle. Grace, McKenna Quigley Harrington, is the sole member of Dwight's Tulsa gang who is proficient with a firearm. She then chastises Dwight for endangering them all and insists that he behaves like the leader he claims to be by interacting with Waltrip and ensuring their safety. In addition to enlisting Mitch's friends, Dwight also asks Jimmy, Glenn Gould, the Higher Plains cannabis supplier, if he has any more henchmen like Bad Face, Jonathan Joss, who may assist him in his upcoming conflict with the Black McAdams.
So Dwight met for attention, our informant.
And the weed story's partnered in.
Right? I'm sorry, am I wrong? Waltrip, okay, the fucking murderer who's trapped. But I'm sure he's not paying taxes on.
Must feel right.
How you doing?
Don't mind the blood,
So they were in the mafia? Mine gonna come say bye? If you have a kid.
Of course I'm gonna have a kid.
We take you to the playground, you... This ain't no play.
See you tomorrow, cuz.
You know about us coming to Oklahoma, and is everything okay?
Jimmy responds in the affirmative and consents to become a partner in the casino that Dwight, Mitch, and Boddy are proposing, demonstrating that Dwight has no plans to halt his illegal actions in Tulsa. Dwight and Tyson stake out Waltrip's headquarters instead of simply awaiting for him to attack. When Tyson sees the two policemen who arbitrarily detained him there, the two of them recognize right once that Waltrip has the police on his side as well. Since Stacy, Andrea Savage has been pursuing Waltrip more and more, he needs these relationships right now. Stacy meets Waltrip outside the Black McAdams offices after he kills Roxy, Emily Davis. To her ire, he dismisses her inquiries with a joke. Stacy is acting more and more carelessly. He criticizes her of consuming alcohol excessively and jeopardizing her work during their therapy session, but she maintains that she is genuinely managing her issues by getting stuff done. This is particularly apparent when Stacy and her companion, Hendrix, Miles Mussenden, arrive to the FBI HQ to talk about Dwight's increasing criminal behavior. Instead, Stacy takes advantage of this to protect Dwight before turning the attention on Waltrip. Stacy is aware that there is evidence of Waltrip's misconduct at the headquarters because of Roxy's insider knowledge. Stacy's strategy is successful. She eventually obtains Waltrip's computer when the FBI authorizes her raid on the Black McAdams bar. Stacy is astounded by what she finds out. Waltrip has been stealing from credit cards, cryptocurrency, and real estate all across the city in addition to having more than $8.2 million in the bank. Waltrip orders his dishonest police officers to capture Dwight and imprison him so he can easily kill him since the walls are closing in on him and his drug use is skyrocketing. However, he persuades the cops that he is in possession of a magnum and can murder them both before they can even shot him when they stop Tyson and Dwight. They abandon Dwight on his own and inform Waltrip that they cannot locate him regardless if believe him or not. They are confident that hunting for Waltrip isn't of significance.
Former Mr. Devereaux.
You get on an airplane, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Peggy, she's big on respect.
Nothing about me.
You know, here's the thing. You know, I've is with you.
Nice guy. And I don't want to embarrass.
Quite clearly now.
I get so much money.
He's flushing profit.
That means a court order.
I want to slit your fucking throat. Cop, think of something.
For Dwight, being in such danger has additional consequences. He had to decline Tina's, Tatiana Zapadino, request to go to Tulsa when she phones him following Emery's, Lauren Dunn horrific mugging. Chicky, played by Domenic Lombardozzi, is one individual who intends to travel to Tulsa. Chicky announces his intention to kill Dwight after killing his father, Pete, A.C. Peterson, and taking over as the new head of the Invernizzi criminal organization. Chicky contacts Dwight and says he wants to put an end to all of their arguments and conflict and make peace rather than heading into Tulsa with all guns blazing. Despite knowing that something is wrong, Dwight consents to peace and Chicky's visit. However, Vincent Piazza praises his performance as soon as Chicky terminates the conversation, and Chicky even confronts Dwight.
Happened. He's not around. Keep looking, Keelan. I'm sorry.
It's Sicilian.
Why are you so late?
Roxy.
Just wondering if that isn't what I already know happened. Oh. Beautiful children were sitting there watching TV and put a fucking gun to your head.
That's...
Your coworkers are going, who the fuck are you?
You gotta stand up for yourself. You know?
Me standing up for myself. I married a decent man. I'd find another place.
You got it, boss.
You bring him in?
Wherever this. So just move on.
Seriously serious. Why not? But what? Anything wrong with being a little human here? Holy shit, motherfucker!
Stacy makes the decision to face Dwight outside of his hotel as Adobe Walls comes to an end. She suggests that Dwight should relocate to a different city now that Waltrip is about to be arrested and the FBI is no longer pursuing him. However, Dwight doesn't appear to be intrigued. Instead, he takes this opportunity to accuse Stacy of jealousy, particularly because he has been splurging more time with Margaret Devereaux, Dana Delaney, the proprietor of a horse ranch near Fenario. But before she can react appropriately, Waltrip and another Black McAdams member ride up with Stacy and Dwight and start shooting at them. Stacy is shot in the stomach after killing Waltrip's sidekick during the gunfight. After shooting Waltrip as he rides off, Dwight tends to Stacy's serious injuries. The cops show up as Dwight compresses Stacy's gunshot wound. As the episode comes to a close, Dwight is seen in tears, surrounded by police, and apparently about to be jailed. Once more, Dwight's unlawful deeds aren't the only ones causing harm. In reality, the individuals who are closest to him bear the brunt of the suffering. There will very probably be a lot more bloodshed as Dwight tries to exact retribution and hold on to power in the last 2 episodes, with all of his adversaries shortly to be in Tulsa.
That motherfucker!
Blood on your hands, you involved in... After us?
Dwight. Some other woman he's been seen with, but we haven't been...
You bring him in?
What's that, Ripple? You sorry?
I don't fucking remember. Guys, come on. Let's go.
Back.
Please, no. I know you... Oh, fuck! God, you got here.
Get those fucking cuffs off.
Oh, fuck! Wait! Get me out!
That's all right.
Tulsa King 2 Episode 8 revealed that Armand had taken almost $500,000 from Dwight. He was in a grave predicament, but he knew Dwight would find him. Cal went to Bill in the interim and informed him that Ming had requested that his guys place a bomb in Dwight's vehicle. Bill became furious and told Cal that he had made a grave error. Dwight, however, prepared to defend his region because he understood that war was unavoidable. In Tulsa King's Happy Trails Season 1 finale, Dwight's team is ready to go on Cal and Waltrip and Black McAdam in their ultimate confrontation. We finally get to witness what led to Dwight's incarceration 25 years ago in the episode's opening flashback to Brooklyn in 1997. A man is being tortured by Chicky, Vince, and Armand, but he has no interest in participating. He takes a step back and quickly contacts Dwight to let him know where they are. Dwight arrives and stops them, but the heated tool Chicky was using to brand Ripple's face causes the room to explode with fire. They are unable to locate the keys, and Ripple is shackled to the radiator. Although they are composed of fortified steel, Dwight attempts to shoot him off. Because he does not want him to be scorched to death, he murders him. When Dwight exits the building, the police are already there to greet him.
To basically die. Fucking done. You really fucking Kojak. But you won't. We got a new member on the... So, I gotta say, it was like I got off on a different... Scary. Anybody. Direction. Forward. Journey.
Dwight is brought in for interrogation since he was suspiciously present at the site when Stacy was shot, but Boddy gets his friend Elliot, a real estate lawyer, to enter and pretend to be his legal representative in order to persuade him to go. When Dwight delivers flowers to Stacy at the hospital, he makes it apparent that he will track down Waltrip. She doesn't have optimism since she thinks he's probably far gone by now with all that money. In addition, she is probably going to lose her job. Dwight assures her that he will compensate her. Dwight is informed by Armand that Goody, Vince, and Chicky are all in Tulsa. One of the things he wants to do is lay low, but Dwight wonders whether he wants to do that. A few months after Dwight's incarceration in early 1998, Chicky contacted Armand and said he wanted to speak with him. Armed and prepared to confront Chicky at last, Armand showed up for the rendezvous but was unable to exit the vehicle. After they go to face them, Tyson appears, and Dwight finally confronts Chicky. He is aware that they dispatched him to Tulsa to essentially die, so he's finished. Chicky and Vince are told to leave his community, even though he invites Goody to stay. To Chicky's dismay, Goody unexpectedly chooses to support Dwight. Furious that 2 of his men are now opposing him, the new Invernizzi family leader threatens to execute them immediately. But when Chicky sees Jimmy and Mitch's people waiting on the sidelines, with weapons, he backs down, so Dwight's extra strength from their guys comes in useful. When they all get together at Bread 2 Buck, Goody formally joins the group, revealing that his true identity is Dennis. Grace shows up right before Dwight's stirring speech to get his new family ready for the battle against Black McAdam. When Dwight and Tyson arrive at Boddy's residence, they discover that he dislikes regular chairs. They then ask Boddy whether he may penetrate Waltrip's laptop, which is presently owned by ATF, in order to take his money. Even though Boddy claims that his odds are quite high. Unfortunately, Waltrip and the ATF detect this right away. Dwight then takes a risk by sending Stacy a card in the hospital that includes a flash drive that proves he transferred $1 million to an offshore account on her behalf. As Mitch talks with his father in his living room, he informs him that the bar will be closed for some time to undergo renovations, giving us a look into his life away from the pub. When Babe mentions that a motorcycle group fired up the pub, he asks him whether he believes Dwight. Mitch gives a detailed explanation of why he does.
What are you laughing at? How's Emery? Visiting from New York.
Welcome. I'm gonna go take some pics.
Okay. It's reopening at this nightclub.
Okay, put your left hand over his back.
Okay, ready?
Tibby, a position seconded by your fellow agent.
At Bread 2 Buck, Dwight and the others wait for Black McAdam to arrive, which is indicated by the sound of motorbikes in the driveway outside. As Waltrip and his men approach the pub, In the Air Tonight plays in the background. They are instantly confronted with explosives and gunfire. Waltrip is shot by Dwight when he traps him against a wall during the brutal gunfight. We move quickly to 3 months later as the show ends. Dwight takes Tina's children to Fenario Ranch to ride pilot while they are in town. In another scene, Stacy is astonished to learn that she would be rejoining the ATF, but with a catch. The bar, which will now be called the Bread 2 Buck Cabaret and Casino, is back in operation and looks better than ever that night. As promised, Mitch fills in as the house band, covering songs like Never Been to Spain and Ramblin' Man. Stacy's condition, that she surrendered the flash drive to the police, is disclosed in the closing seconds. Dwight is surrounded by police and taken into custody for attempting to bribe a federal agent. Dwight's good fortune runs out. Stacy's treachery was totally unexpected. When she was offered her work back, she had to make a choice. Stacy turned Dwight in and turned down the $1 million offer, despite having said that she was financially reliant on the position. Following the ceaseless gang warfare, it undoubtedly appeared like an anticlimax. Sheridan tells stories quickly, interspersing them with small emotional pauses that give the narrative depth. Tulsa King's 9 episodes are currently available for exclusive viewing on Paramount+. If you like this video, make sure to check out the OKTV Today YouTube channel, where we have hundreds of videos like this. If you want to see our new episodes, make sure you subscribe to get notification.
It's reopening at this nightclub.
Okay, put your left hand over his back.
Okay, ready?
Tibby, a position seconded by your fellow agent.
Knowing to hold him and knowing to fold him.
Mm-hmm.
To the future home of the Bread 2 Manfredi.
Said the ladies was it. Never, but I kinda like her.
Be right back.